This is George Dionne with Metal Express Radio, and I'm here with Tony Hernando of Lords of Black. How you doing today, Tony?
Very good. Very happy to be here talking to you, George, and thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. If I knew absolutely nothing about Lords of Black, how would you describe the band's music to me?
All right. Let me see if you would agree with this. I think we are a very cool and very good cross between classic rock and classic hard rock with modern metal approaches. So it's obvious that Ronnie and I, we are very big fans of the Rainbow, Deep Purple, Dio, all those classic metal bands from 70s and 80s. And we put a little bit or a little twist of our modern perspective, a little bit more of proggy and power metal kind of thing. So I think it's a cross between old and new. I don't know. Let me know if you agree with this.
Well, I absolutely agree in the fact that I hear all those influences on your latest album, Alchemy of Souls Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now that album's coming out next week, November 6th. Is this a concept album?
Not really a conceptual album as such, but there is a topic or a general theme in the album about the current times and about the situation that we are living right now in the world, with all this craziness, with the pandemic, of course, but not only with the pandemic, but with politics and very high tension all over the world. So it's like we are actually witnessing or living a war, economical war, if you will, not necessarily military, but economical. And a lot of the songs are about this whole feeling I have about the current times. And also it's about personal things, about catharsis, empowering, and stuff like that, because I think we all have these struggles inside of all of us. It's like our souls, our minds are always debating between good and bad, between good and evil, and not only in every of us, but in the war as a whole. So Alchemy of Souls is a fictional concept I came up with when I was finishing the songs, and I realized that many of the songs were around the same topic or the same thematic about the eternal, the never-ending fight between good and evil.
Yeah, that's certainly a solid theme that transcends time. And, you kind of, you're probably around my age, in your 40s or late 30s, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of saw that, we kind of heard these things when we were younger, but now it's just so in your face because of social media and the news on a 24-hour cycle. It's like, it seems like it's really, really bad, but maybe it always was and we didn't really see it.
Well, I don't know, because when I was young, any sci-fi movie or any dystopian movie like Blade Runner or stuff like that, I used to love that. I used to love that back in the day, and now it even disgusts me because the reality is even worse right now. It's so in your face, like you just said, and I don't like it. It's not definitely it's not the war I was growing up when I was a kid, and definitely it's not the war I want for my kid that is 9 years old right now. So I don't know. I feel a lot of responsibility. The only thing I can do is through my lyrics, empowering and positive and uplifting lyrics, kind of call to arms, call to awake. That's the only thing I can do as an artist. That is we all have a responsibility right now on doing what is right, what is correct. So I don't know.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's talk about one of the first singles that you released, Dying to Live Again. Why don't you explain where you were going lyrically with this song?
Yeah, exactly. is the opening song for the album and sets pretty much the vibe for the rest of the album. In terms that if you pay attention to the lyrics, you see how in the verses I'm portraying a very dark and a very really bad situation, but in the choruses it's like a rebellion, like a call to arms again, and definitely we are dying to live again. And I'm telling the world I want to scream and I want to fight and fight for my rights and stand for what is right and stand for freedom of speech and many other things that we have been having in this Western world of liberty and freedom. And I don't want to lose any of that, because I think there are a lot at stake right now at the moment. There is much more than the pandemic. It's not only about the pandemic. It's just, I have the feeling that because of the virus, because of the pandemic, they are certain powers and certain politicians are doing a lot of things, very wrong things, I guess, I would say, against our liberties and our Western values. So I'm very, very concerned about that. And Dying to Live Again is something, it's like a rebellion, like a revolution calling, like I would say. So yeah.
All right, let's talk about the other song that you've put out there. You put out Into the Black. Let's talk about what you were thinking behind that one.
Well, yeah, pretty much the continuation of Dying to Live Again is about the same topic. And as I'm saying Ronnie is singing in the chorus, this might be the last opportunity, the last time. Wake up. This might be the last call to avoid a world devoid of right things. No, I'm saying in the lyric, devoid of God, but you don't need to believe in God or whatever to understand this message.
Is there another song planned to be released as the album comes out?
Yeah, next week, November 6th, the very same day of the album release date, will be released the video for the song Sacrifice. That is one of the most commercial, if you will, more one of the
commercials, right?
Oh yeah.
Commercials, right? And what were your thoughts behind the lyrics on that one?
In this case, it's something personal. It's just about catharsis, about empowering, and about those toxic relationships you may have, and is don't let anyone to tell you that you are unworthy, that you are useless, and stuff like that. So it's a personal rebellion to that kind of toxic people. It's very, very powerful. I think a lot of people will relate to those lyrics in a very positive way, in a very powerful and uplifting way, I hope.
Ronnie Romero returned on vocals for Alchemy of Souls, but prior to the album's completion, Lords of Black were playing live with other singers. Can you clear up the situation that happened between Ronnie leaving and Ronnie coming back?
Well, yeah, it has been very difficult and a lot of drama. Is bands, politics, and everything sometimes get very difficult. And Ronnie and I had a great relationship from the beginning, and we pretty much believe in the same music. We pretty much agree on everything. But sometimes people get in between, managers get in between, and different situations make people change and make relationships go to different and more stressful paths. And we went south for a while, and he decided to leave. But 1 year later has returned back, and I'm very, very happy because at the end it's about the music and about the fans, and I think we make a great team. This band, like I told you in the beginning, is a cross between classic rock and all school heavy metal and modern, and it's very much based on that traditional traditional theme of lead guitar hero, if you will, with a great frontman and a great singer. Those are the examples of our favorite bands, like Jimmy Page with Robert Plant, Richie Blackmore with Ronnie Dio, Freddie Mercury with Brian May, and so Lords of Black is pretty much that kind of mold,
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it was a very difficult time because I didn't know if I was going to be able to continue with the band, because Ronnie is such a great singer and my favorite personal singer. So I was trying for a while with Diego Valdez, but it didn't work, and at least I made the live appointments we have with Dino Jelusic. This guy is singing with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, for example, and other projects. And at least this guy saved the day. It was a very brief time that Dino could be the new singer, but at the end, nothing happened out of that. And all of a sudden, right when the pandemic did strike and we got into the lockdowns, right then, Ronnie and I got on the phone talking just as friends, just talking to check on each other how the things were going. And one thing led to another, and we realized that we are stronger together than separate, and the music and the fans make anything worth it.
That's awesome. That's a good story. I like that. I was in a band locally, and personality clashes, outside people, this and that. It's a pain. But when you could talk one-on-one, yes, just lay it all out there, it's great.
Absolutely, yeah. We had very difficult times because not really because Ronnie and I had strong differences. Not at all. It was about third parties involved, about managers, about different interests with record company stuff. Never about personality or the money. And when it comes to music, Ronnie and I, we are always in the same page. So yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Frontiers is releasing this album. How did your relationship begin with Frontiers Records?
The very first album, the debut album, Lords of Black, self-titled, we released it by ourselves, independently, because we didn't want any interference or anything. So we wanted to put this album out and get known. And all of a sudden, all the Rainbow, Richie Blackmore thing happened. So obviously, Ronnie got all of a sudden in the spotlight, and so the band. And all of a sudden, every record company contacted us to see if we could get signed. So at the end, we went with Frontiers because we love many of the artists that they have in their roster, like bands like Striper or Pretty Maids or What Is Snake. Also, Journey at the time were even with Frontiers. So many of the bands we love the most were in the roster, and we like the idea of that the label wasn't all about metal, that they were founded more into the American hard rock and our kind of thing, and they have been developing to other genres, but we like that idea and we went with them. So yeah.
Awesome. Last year, you appeared on an album under the name Restless Spirits with a bunch of other Frontiers artists like Dean Castronovo, Johnny Gialli, Dino Lucia, and Alessandro De Vecchio. How did that project come about?
Yeah, well, it was great because it was at the time nothing was going on with Lords of Black because of Ronnie's departure. So at least I focused myself in positive things like writing and recording different music and doing a different style because I didn't want to go with something similar to Lords of Black, something very heavy metal. So I went with this idea of writing songs in the vein of other bands that I love, like Journey, Bad English, Giant, those kind of American bands that I loved back in the day. I still love them. I knew it was going to be a great opportunity to prove myself in different songwriting, in different skills. So I was very, very happy with the results. And I think we came out with a very strong album. And Dean Castronovo and Johnny Gialli made some of their best performances ever, in my opinion. It was a great time. I had a blast working with those guys. They were world class.
Awesome. I find it funny. I've been talking to a lot of European band guys, and they all cite Giant as an influence, and they were kind of a blip here in the United States. I love Giant. I mean, I absolutely love Giant. I love hearing guys say, "Hey, I listened to Giant and I loved them." They're such an underrated band.
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe because they got out too late to the party, because it was 89 and 90 when almost the party was over. So
yeah, right.
Those guys coming out with such at least the two first albums were, in my opinion, classics. And Dan Huff is one of the best guitarists ever. One of those studio cats, like Steve Lukather, Neil Schon, Steve Stevens, those great guitar players that are much better than most people would think. They are absolutely amazing. And Dan Huff in particular, not only his technique, but his musicality, his songwriting, his vocals, everything. Dan Huff is still an influence on me in many ways.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's gone country these days, huh?
Yeah. Well.
We still have the music, right?
Oh yeah. And well, he has been doing great production. I have the albums of Faith Hill or Shania Twain or people like that, and it's great music, anyways. But
sure.
So Dan is great. Dan is absolutely a genius.
You also appeared on Ray Adler's 2019 solo album, What the Water Wants. How did that opportunity come about for you?
Wow. This is a great story because I've been a fan of Fate's Warning since I was a kid. Even here in Spain, not many people knew about these guys. Maybe my peers, maybe my friends were into Queensryche and stuff like that. But Queensryche or Dream Theater, those were bands that only some nerds like me and some nerds and aspiring musicians were into those guys. And Ray came to Spain for living, and he's living here in Madrid, and we became best friends. It was pure casualty. We just met through common friends, and all of a sudden we got together more and more, having some beers, and we got very close, and we are very good friends right now. And when he was thinking about doing a solo record, I was ready to go, of course. So it was a great experience for me, being a Fates Warning fan of all time. has been a huge highlight in my career. Yeah.
It's another underrated band. I think Fate's Warning. I always thought they should have been bigger.
Absolutely.
Uh, Earlier in your career, you released several instrumental albums, guitar-based instrumental albums. Who were some of your instrumental guitar heroes that inspired you?
Well, when I was 10 or 11 and I was starting to know about rock and heavy metal, because before of that, I was only into classical music because I was studying at Conservatory of Music, just like my sisters, and everything in my parents' place, was about classical music. But as soon as I got into rock and heavy metal, I found that connection between classical music and heavy metal, and I was immediately hooked when I heard for the first time stuff like Rainbow, or I never forget the first time I got to listen to the Randy Rhoads solo on Mr. Crowley, and I was immediately hooked forever with the heavy metal and the guitar. And my first guitar heroes were Randy Rhoads, Van Halen, and Vivian Campbell from Dio was a huge influence in my beginning. Gary Moore, John Sykes, and then I got more and more into the technical guys, because once I realized that I was able to play any Iron Maiden song or any Ozzy Osbourne song, I wanted to prove myself if I was able to play a Joe Satriani song or a Steve Vai song or Yngwie Malmsteen song. So I got into that big time. I was buying and learning every single instrumental album that came out on those fantastic days. Anything from Vinnie Moore, Razor X, Cacophony, Jason Becker, and Marty Friedman, all those guys. And later on, I was more into the blues and jazz stuff. I went to Los Angeles to study at Musicians Institute. So at that time, in the mid-90s, I was much more into the jazz and fusion stuff. But my soul, my heart, my core has been always rock and metal guitar. So at the end, what I do is what I want to do, what I feel to do. That is right for me.
Is there going to be an Alchemy of Souls Part 2 in the future?
Yeah, because once you have titled your album Alchemy of Souls Part 1, of course, it has to be a Part 2.
That's not true. I'm still waiting for the Scorpions to do Humanity Hour 2. They did Humanity Hour 1. They never did Part 2.
You're right. Thank you for that card, just in case I have to use that excuse.
That's right. That's right. Throw it out there. The Scorpions didn't do it. I don't have to do it.
Oh, by the way, it was a great album. Probably my favorite Scorpions album in a long, long time.
No, absolutely, it was. I that's why I'm like, they're gonna do another one like this. But it is what it is. So, has Ronnie committed to another album, or are you just gonna see how this one goes first?
Yeah, considering the situation, we are actually talking about recording Part 2 as soon as possible. Actually, I have most of the material already written and demoed. And so if there is no live performances feasible for the next, let's say 6 or even 7 months, then my guess is we are going to be recording Part 2 right away, probably December or January. So in that case, we may have Part 1 and Part 2 together and touring in support of both albums at the fall of 2021, I guess. So, but everything right now is kind of, not only for me, for every band, for every artist, we just don't know what is going to be in the next month. So,
right.
So yeah.
It seems everybody at Frontiers has multiple projects in the works. Are you working on anything else beside Lords of Black?
Yeah, I'm writing more stuff for different things, and that's very good. It's one of the things that make Frontiers a very different label, and it's good that we, the artists of the Frontiers roster, got together and got to collaborate in different projects. I think is very good for us, for being active and being developing our skills as songwriters and performance. So yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I'm cooking right now, but
nobody ever does.
Yeah, I've been asked to do a Restless Spirits Song of 4 album, but not sure about that at this moment. But I'm cooking another stuff that might be very cool, because I don't want to repeat myself. So if I'm going to go with a side project again, I have a different idea that will be very cool, in my opinion.
Excellent. That's all I got for you today, Tony. I really appreciate you speaking with Metal Express Radio.
Thanks so much, George. I had a great time. It has been a great talk, and thanks again for having me.